From the thousands of managers that we worked with over the last couple of decades, a common theme that we've had to coach them with, help them with, is really how to lead Gen Z, because they've struggled with it. They've found that very challenging. When you think of it, 74% of managers today say that that is a challenge for them. And it's three themes that sort of come out from what really are those challenges. Number one is there's definitely a perceived lack of motivation. Stick and carrot doesn't work anymore. They don't know how to get them to do work. And it's a tough piece. The second piece is people now change jobs so much faster compared to the previous generation, even to our generation. We at least had a 5-6 year window. Now it's a 1 year, 2 year, and there's a gig work on the side. I was reading somewhere it said about nearly 50% of people will change their jobs, of Gen Z will change their jobs in the next year, which is half the workforce. To think of it, quite crazy. The last theme I've seen, and I'm sure we've talked about this also, is just their issue with authority, is that they don't like a very command and conquer approach from managers anymore. About 75% of Gen Z when polled would say, hey, we want a positive, psychologically safe workforce. The challenge is that nobody prepared leaders, founders, managers to create this positive workspace for Gen Zs.
Very true. As you said, as we speak to thousands of managers, as we interact with them, coach them, the common pain point is they say Gen Zs don't listen, they don't stick around, they don't care about work. But having personally worked with Gen Zs now for however long, my personal take is it's not that they don't care or they're disengaged. It's just they're different. They are not in a season where they're looking for survival. They are looking for, as you said, meaning and purpose and growth. Those are their needs. When you think about our generation, for us, work was like eating at home. And when you eat at home, you quietly eat what is served. Work was like that. You get your work done, you follow the rules, you make it work. But for Gen Zs, working is like eating in a restaurant. There's a menu card, so they're entitled to take a moment and look at the menu and choose what they would like to do.
Very true.
And if they don't like the food, if the service is slow, they have no obligation to stay there. So it's not that they don't care, they are picky, but it's just that they have options.
I love that. We are in this middle generation that the previous generation and us to an extent were the Roti, Kapda, Makaan generation. But for Gen Zs and now Gen Alphas, Roti is no more a thing unless it's gluten-free.
Or it's a toast with avocado on it.
Yeah, something like that. And Kapda with fast fashion, with micro trends, we can't keep up.
Not like our black t-shirts.
Forever and ever, amen. And Makaans, like Nikhil Kamath told us, quietly stop buying, only rent. So Roti, Kapda, Makaan is gone. So what is the next new big three?
Yeah.
For them, it's definitely connection, it's psychological safety, it's finding a job that matters, that has purpose to it. Those three are what make today a workplace they would want to work in.
Yeah. As a leader, the question we really need to focus on is not why is it difficult to lead Gen Zs, but what kind of leader do I want to be?
I like that.
Right? So if the only leverage I have today is the authority, it's my title and position, I am going to struggle. So I need to ask myself, what kind of leader do I want to be? Do I want to lead through authority, or do I want to lead through inspiring others? Do I want to lead through complete obedience, or by motivating others? Daniel Pink, in his book Drive, really breaks it down so well. He says fear can't be the motivating factor. As humans, we're not wired to be motivated by fear. And he says the three things that motivate us are autonomy, mastery, and purpose. And the kicker is this, it's not just for the Gen Zs, it's for all of us. But probably Gen Zs are the first generation which are saying we are not going to be okay if you're not getting those things. We are not going to be motivated.
Like autonomy, mastery, ownership.
Purpose.
Purpose. So nice.
Yeah. When you think in those layers, think about autonomy. What can I do as a leader? How can I create a space where they have more autonomy? Because micromanagement removes motivation, whereas ownership, as you mentioned, it increases engagement. So how do I create more autonomy? Can I give them more flexibility? Can I create more flexibility in terms of how they want to do their work and wherever possible, where they want to do it and when they want to do it? That creates autonomy. So don't give them a solution, give them a problem. mastery, how can I signal to them saying that, hey, here you can continuously grow. Here you have opportunities to level up constantly. Give them projects that challenge them. When it comes to purpose, people may come for a paycheck, but they'll stay for purpose. And if you want to want a t-shirt, you can put it on underwear also if you want it.
Maybe not.
So people need purpose today. The needs have changed. And how do you integrate that? How do you have conversations? How do you connect them around purpose? How do you show them that their work is impactful and it really impacts the purpose as an organization? How do you celebrate it? You got to build a culture where meaning is equal to metrics.
I think 2 t-shirts.
Two t-shirts.
Meaning is equal to metrics is a new t-shirt. I love that. But the challenge of that is now for a leader, for a founder, for a manager, you've got to be so much more intentional to build a place like that. It's not just show up, hey, here's HR, take your pay at the end of the month.
It's more rewarding as well though.
That is
Like,
true.
think about it. Like, if 20 years from now, when you look back at your journey as a leader, are you going to feel happy that the only dial I had was fear?
Yeah.
Or I could play with motivation, I could play with autonomy, I could play with mastery. How much more satisfying is your job?
I like that. And I think for us, just Daniel Pink's book was foundational to building the culture at UNI. And one side of it is it takes a lot of intentionality. And you see it in whatever, we've got Great Place to Work 5 times, which is great to have. That's nice to have on a wall. The larger win for me is actually seeing the culture live, to seeing people build a strong community where they feel they have purpose, where they feel they have community, where they feel they have connection, and they're doing something meaningful. Intentionally building that has taken over a decade for us. A few things we've done well, if I'm just to look back at our journey, right? We've created, number one, spaces for connection because people want to authentically connect with the people they're working with. It's no more just transaction, it's also relational. A great example of this is every meeting at UNI starts with something called good things, where you start with, hey, let me share something good happening in my life. We have a space for celebration, which is a lot of affirming people, of helping people feel valued, seen, heard, and to create spaces like that, whether it's a Slack channel, whether it's doing it on WhatsApp, whether it's doing it in person, whatever it is, but creating those spaces. Lastly, also is creating a space for ownership and just giving people mini projects, even if they're a year into their job. Hey, here's something you can own, drive, take from A to Z. That changes the game for people, right? When they feel seen, when they feel heard, when they feel connected and they're doing meaningful work. You tick a lot of these boxes, and I love to see then Gen Z on fire. Because personally for me, Gen Z is more of a feature than a bug, right? And the challenge for leaders and managers is how do you leverage their uniqueness and their power.